later on. Okay. Um, so antitrust policy, some useful site. So we add another mirror site. It called iHub. It's also in China. It's sponsored from a what we call the Pengcheng Lab. As it's a national lab at Shenzhen, which is also have investing a lot of resource into open source. So it's a great honor that the iHub could also host a mirror of MindSpore code. Just quickly go over the agenda. So I try to maintain all the minutes here. I think I've missed uploading some of the meeting slide, which I will try to do later today. But I think it would be better to find a hosting place for like PDF files, since if we using Git to manage many of the non-code like the PDF files or the presentation slides, it will like enlarge the repo a bit and not very convenient for this type of task. But anyway, at the meantime, we will just hosting all the meeting notes and slides there. And I have uploaded the August, our meeting, last meeting to YouTube. And also on Bilibili, I think, for Chinese developers. Since we skipped the September meeting for the crazy 1.0 release, so the August meeting is our last meeting. Okay, some of the community progress update for the TSC members. First of all, a major announcement of the 1.0 release. Although we just released the 0.7 version at August, we think many of the so many aspects of MindSpore is mature enough for us to announce GA. So after another crazy month for development, also testing, so we were really happy to announce the 1.0 release at the end of September. So this is an example of our PR article on using the WeChat. However, we didn't have an English PR article, I think, which I think we probably should do. Another really great progress is that we have started the MindSpore community outside China. So the MindSpore study group, we start with the Russia. The MSG Russia, we hosted a online event. I think is September 17th. I've also uploaded the recording to YouTube. So it's basically an introduction for MindSpore in Russia, which is pretty cool, and an introduction of the auto kernel generator and TVM. And we are also starting organize MSGs in, for example, Indonesia with the help of a professor there, and also in Singapore with the help of professor from STUD. So I think it's really great to see developers outside China has started to, we start to organize and to form a developer, local developer groups. Okay, this is a infographic we did for the 1.0 release PR article. So we asked our OD to provide a English version. So basically, started we have started many MindSpore study groups across China, some major cities in China, also outside China. This is the like the distribution according to region um, from our binary download. As you can see, it's truly a global community. It's not just a Chinese open source project. Um, for several like KPIs or just key indicators, I think the community is very healthy or on a good uh, growth path. Um, we have established many of 6 special interest groups and working groups. We have introduced a lot of them at the TSC meeting. A lot of topics are really interesting. For example, the autokernel generator SIG, the molecular modeling working group. These are really interesting effort from like non-Huawei sponsored uh, the developer that tries MindSpore with their interested areas. We have also gathered some application case. The very exciting one is from Dr. Han Xiao, the GINA integration, which is our very first open source ISV. I think we can say that. Um, and also the trial of MindSpore utilization in molecular dynamics in the Shenzhen Bay laboratory. And also we released the MindSpore Lite, which is another SIG, if you can recall, to develop basically equivalent of TensorFlow Lite or like Cafe to Go running on the mobile phones. So MindSpore Lite currently shipped with the HMS, which is like equivalent of GMS. So basically, it means it has already powered like tens of millions of Huawei phones across the globe for the AI applications. Okay, here are some of the new proposals that I will run through for today's meeting. The first one is a proposal to a bit update to our governance structure. So the MindSpore community has been running for roughly half a year. We start with a really simple and lean governance structure because we are a new open source community. We don't want too heavy a governance overhead, so to speak. So we have the technical steering committee, we have the monthly meeting, we have the SIGs and working groups doing their work for development or trying out new things that needs across the collaboration in many new areas. We now realize that given the growth of the community, both in China and also outside China, there are more and more people like professors from universities or many of the key leading experts from some of the major research labs or like Gina AI, many of the startups are looking at actually using MindSpore. I think it's reasonable now to expand a bit for our community governance structure. So the proposal here is to add 2 new non-voting committees, so that we can we can have more people and a more regular gathering of MindSpore interested parties. So the first committee is the expert committee. The expert committee could consist like two types of subgroups. One type is focusing on a specific topic. For example, we can have like just computer vision uh, expert group or NLP expert group. So it's group of experts that just interest in one specific area, and we can just spontaneously forms that group. Another type is regional. For example, we have maybe a French expert group or a British expert group, or say Korean or Japanese expert group. Um, so for the regional, it's convenient for people in certain region. Especially given the COVID situation now, it's much more easier for people, experts in certain region to get around. The second type of committee we propose here is user committee. A user committee is focusing on enterprises or research projects or labs or whatever entities that is looking for adoption of MindSpore, either for directly commercial use or just for research or just for POCs. Um, so user community also consists of two types of subgroups. The one is focusing on a specific industry. For example, we can have like banking or like financial user group, which by the way, we do have representative from banks in our TSC, or like energy industry user group, etc. The second type is also focusing on the regional user group. For example, we can have a Chinese user group or say Vietnamese user group, Malaysian user group, Singaporean user group. Again, it's convenient for users or customers or adopters for certain region to gather up. The purpose for adding this non-voting organization is that we try, if possible, to for the TSC is more transforming into a governance body. So the voting rights still specifically retaining to retained to TSC, but we have a more relaxed formation of the expert committee and user committee for more and more interested party to participate in the community. Here are some specific explanations. I think I mentioned a lot, so I won't go into details. So as I mentioned in the email and sent to the TSC mailing list, all the changes will be submitted to the community repo as a PR. So as usual, we have a 1 week period of review. And if there's no strong objection, it will be merged. So again, these two committees, we want to have these committees not just in the name, for the namesake, but to have a structure set up to facilitate more and more people to join the community, to start discussion, conversations, so that we can innovate. The second proposal is another new SIG, is SIG parallel. So auto parallel has been a key feature since the open source of MindSpore. Now I think many of the developers and also um, uh, developers from the Huawei team and also outside Huawei thinks it may be a good time now to start its own special interest group, which means uh, parallel will be a like a specific module within MindSpore. Um, so to just quickly recap, uh, parallelism in deep learning are like omnipresent. It's basically everywhere. We can start with the really basic data parallelism, and then if the device cannot handle larger and larger data set and also models, then we goes to model parallelism. Sometimes we use pipeline parallelism. So MindSpore adopt a mechanism called auto parallelism. Basically, is a mixture or combination of the data and model parallelism. And also, for example, here, the parallel strategy search is automatically done within the parallel feature. So developers could just carefree using this feature instead of handcrafting many of the parallels policies or strategies for their distributed cluster, which is a major pain. So let me quickly go through the so all the SIG proposal are in using the MEP process. So it's MindSpore enhancement proposal. We borrowed from the Kubernetes KEP, which I think like in Bitcoin all originate from the Python improvement proposal, the PIP procedure. So we are using the similar open source procedure to propose new SIGs for new features. So this is the MEP for auto parallel. So again, the auto parallelization feature mostly aims to help with the training of really giant or large size DN models. So if you are dealing with really small size models, you probably won't need this feature. But if you are dealing with like GPT-3, you definitely need something like the auto parallel in MindSpore. So the goal is easy to use as usual. It should be able to provide a really user-friendly interface, and also good performance, speed up. Actually, I kind of had we made a podcast which haven't released yet. I had a discussion with the auto parallels SIG lead Su Teng. There's actually another like really interesting direction is the standardization of how we actually carving out or slicing out the tensors, which I think it would be an interesting topic. So we have now TensorFlow, PyTorch, MXNet, many frameworks. Many of them do have support some level of automatic parallelization. So all the parallelism in deep learnings deals with basically how to slicing up your tensor in what way. So it would be really interesting to see if there's a standard way to do that. So all the framework carving up in the same dimension or in the same way or a same set of dimensions of the tensors for their whatever the parallel algorithm they use. It will be great for like interoperability for users that actually uses multiple frameworks, you know, for their for their development environment and also their production environment. Anyway, that's just a side topic. So for the parallel module or the feature in MindSpore, it mainly provides three deliverables, the cost model. So we provide a cost model basically to calculate, you know, how to distribute the model, you know, how to carving out the model and data set to certain node in a cluster. The tensor partitioning, as I mentioned, is big part of the parallelism mechanism, and will be great to have a standard way to do that, and also the pipelined model parallel. Uh, there are many literatures, I think, for parallelism. Um, for members that are like expert in this area, I think you are already familiar with like the G pipe paper, like the Megatron paper. There have been really a flood of paper on parallelism. So I won't go into details on that. User stories. So yeah, the autoparallel features basically used for distributed cluster for training of large set. We'll provide unit tests and system tests. Of course, this is required for all of the MindSpore modules. So for the past versions, I think we have already shipped a preliminary implementation of the parallel model and parallel partition. I think the purpose of this specific seek is to further develop like a mature parallel strategy search module, a mature cost model, and the tensor partition strategy I mentioned. So there are constraints, of course. The current search strategy are not always lead to the best iteration time, which means sometimes it converge really slowly. So the cost model, we have been, I think, consistently tuning the cost model to improve this, but it's a trade-off, I think. So alternatives, or as I mentioned, if you do literature survey, there is a lot of research already in this area. For TensorFlow, the Mesh TF is a major paper. Also TOFU or the G-pipe, pipe dream, as I mentioned. Feel free to check them out. Okay, this is the new SIG proposal. Okay, let me quickly review our latest release, the 1.0 release for you. As usual, you can check out the release note. We shipped just two new models. So the second order optimization, in case you have pay attention to the latest MLPerf benchmark, actually it has some of the scores that using MindSpore, which is pretty awesome. considering in comparison of Google's TPU v4 plus TensorFlow. I don't know which version they're using because Google didn't submit any of this to the open region, which means they don't have to disclose which version of TensorFlow they're using, whether it's the in-home one or the open source one. But anyways, if you are interested, you can compare with the last version, MLPerf, which Google did participate in the open region. So MindSpore, for example, for BERT is definitely on par with at least TensorFlow 1.14 plus TPU v3. I think we also on par with the TPU v4, and yeah. So we shipped one new GN model since GN kind of really hot recently. So some new interface and for the front end. For the executor, like for our the compiler level optimization, we support quantitative network of this model and some optimization for ease of use. As you can see, turning GA is mostly on fine tuning and optimization. So for GPU, we shipped the second order optimization for ResNet 50. So the second order optimization from MindSpore is really great. It's I think it would be interesting to check out the Google. I think Google has a recent paper out for their second order optimization. I think it would be interesting to see the latest comparison. But for the previous, the KFAC implementation, I think MindSpore can just floor it. Yeah, MindSpore Lite. We support development for Windows, some of new apps. I think we also ship the Onyx support. Yeah, we have developers, I think, actually tried with that. Okay, this is another crazy development cycle. So starting with 1.0, we will be switching to a 3-month, like more normal development pace. So everyone can actually have a life. So the team is still drafting out the release plan for 1.1. I will share with TSC once it's out, and also we'll be drafting a maintenance policy. So for all the branches or the stable branch, we have to guard the APIs. Unlike TF 2.0, who breaks backward compatibility, we have to ensure that. Yeah. I think that'll be all. I am really looking forward to start European activities, and also I'm kind of still lag behind the translation of several Chinese articles, which I will still be trying to do that. Okay, that will be the end of my presentation. Any questions?
Yeah, sounds good. Sounds very nice. Yeah. Congratulations on the 1.0 release. Yeah.
Oh, thank you very much. It's it's been a long way.
I mean,
Oh,
it's really fast. If you consider like a TensorFlow, they takes them about 1.5 years to release 1.0. And yeah, and then compared to MindSpore, this is super fast.
yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's why we have to slow down after 1.0 is it's like binge developing for the past 6 months. Um, oh, by the way, are we looking at a like a story for the Gina integration with MindSpore coming out?
Yes, yes. So we are still working on the blog post. I mean,
Okay.
the examples are there, but we still need some time to finish the blog post. And
Okay, cool.
then, so right now I think there so we can post that on our let's say our company blog, or we can put that onto the there is a Medium channel called Towards Data Science, and usually
Oh,
there
yeah.
you have more, yeah, you have more audience there,
Yeah, yeah,
and
yeah. Yeah, that'd be great.
yeah, so we can submit to that. Yeah.
Okay, great. And we can
Yeah.
also like circulate on on WeChat.
Yeah, that
Or
would be good. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, great. Any other questions regarding the community, the progress, and the future?
For me, thank you.
Okay, if there's no outstanding questions, I think we can conclude the meeting earlier. I will submit the recording to YouTube, so feel free to check it out at any time, and I will try to upload all the meeting slides onto the our community repo, as I mentioned. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
See
Bye
you.
bye.
Thank you.
See you on
Bye bye.
mailing list. Bye bye.
Thanks a lot. Bye bye.